Okay, you guys ready?
Yeah.
Right. Three, two, one, go.
Hey guys, good evening. This is Musicoology. My name is Lee Meng. We're back for another episode of music education stuff. Today's show is called One Up Music. It's a little bit about video game music, and I'm here with MC slash voice actor slash music producer slash video game enthusiast Kevin, aka Gold Mountain.
Hello, hello, hello. Thank you for having me tonight. This is indicative of what's gonna happen. We're just gonna nerd up the joint. I'm really happy to be on this second episode.
Yeah.
And taking over your set with all these nerdy activities.
Yeah, the decor is really on point today. Thank you for that. So today's show, we're basically gonna float around from topic to topic, cover some video game classics, have some debate, hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we're also gonna end with a quiz for him.
Oh,
And we also, by the way, in the quiz, will need some audience participation.
Oh.
So please stay tuned for that part. Really excited.
so
for
big
that.
disclaimer, anything I say about video games is just really my opinion, as I know how opinionated and pedantic you nerds are. So just chill, all right? This is just a passion that we all share.
Mhm.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What he said,
Yeah.
same for me as well.
Yeah.
Okay, can we pull up the screen, please? Okay, so I'm gonna start with one of my favorite games, one of the first games I ever played, Pokemon.
Ooh.
The first generation, Pokemon Red, Blue, and also Green and Yellow
Mhm.
after that. The music for this series was composed by Junichi Masuda. So he made the music, but he's also a producer and director for the games at Game Freak,
Yeah.
which is the company responsible for Pokemon. The music for Pokemon was composed on a Commodore Amiga.
It's really crazy because if you think about it, like a lot of the video games, or at least from Game Boy, NES, and just a little bit even up to SNES, like just the limitations that they had in terms of like how many tracks they had to make the music. So I mean, like even with Pokemon, I think there's like 2 tracks on a Game Boy or something like that.
4 tracks,
Four
that's right.
tracks?
I'm just about to get into that.
Ooh, sorry.
Is the screen still up? Okay, so on the screen you've got the Commodore Amiga. This was a personal computer released in 1985. One of our props just fell down. And it went on to be quite important amongst video game developers and music producers. It was the first home computer to have a 4-voice stereo sampling sound system, also known as PCM, pulse code modulation. This is also
So
shared.
nerdy.
Yay, nerds! Woo! This is also shared by the original Game Boy sound hardware,
Actually,
which
no.
should be on the screen right now as well. The Game Boy used one PCM 4-bit channel. So actually when we're talking about 8-bit music in this context, it's actually referring to the CPU of the Game Boy because the sound hardware didn't have 8-bit. It's actually 4-bit. Okay, can we turn off the screen? Cool. So I'm gonna analyze now some tracks from the original Pokemon soundtrack. Gonna get a little bit music theory, technical, but Kevin, you've told me before that you have a special talent
It's like an idiot savant kind of thing. Yeah.
of being able to sing game melodies off the top of your head. So I'm gonna start with the opening theme from Pokemon.
There's a caveat. It's if I played it.
Okay, well,
Right.
you obviously played Pokemon.
Yeah.
Who didn't
Yeah.
play Pokemon? If you didn't play Pokemon, just stop watching.
The same people who don't play video games with music, that's you. You don't play Pokemon. Like you
Aw.
horrible. Like
So, okay, now the time has come for testing you.
yeah. Before though, I just want to mention like with the PCM, like you were limited to 4 tracks, and it's just interesting to point out that you only had the first 2 were like 2 triangle waves. No, sorry, sine waves, and then that's usually used for like a melody and a counterbalance, right? And then the next one was a triangle wave for the bass, and then you had noise, which was usually for percussion. And
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. The noises for percussion. Thank you. It's doing my job for me. I love it.
No problem.
Okay, so let's hear your rendition of the opening theme music for Pokemon.
Like from where, like when you start the
Like,
Game
yeah,
Boy,
you
or
turn on the
just,
Game
like,
Boy and then the music that plays.
Oh man, so it's like da-ding, right? And then you have a right?
Yeah.
And then,
Oh, wow,
right?
yeah.
And then
Sorry,
da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. I mean, come on,
Okay,
that's
that's
everyone
it.
knows that, right?
All right, you got it. Okay, so I'm gonna
Thanks.
play the actual theme.
Ooh.
although your rendition is very good.
Thank you.
And then after that, we're going to go into a bit of an analysis.
Yeah,
So
I took
hold on.
lessons.
Okay, here we go.
Wow.
Nailed it.
One to one. You have, like, I always feel like this type of music is like, yeah, it's so good for setting that emotion, that environment, that theme.
Getting pumped up for the
Yeah,
game.
like I'm gonna go around the world, I'm gonna be the very best in the world.
Okay, so can we pull up the screen? All right, so you should be able to see the score on your screen. And I have like circled, well, it's a rectangle, so it can't really be circled, can it?
It's okay.
I've highlighted,
Come on, the nerds are watching, they're gonna point it out.
I've highlighted the percussion section of the track. And I just want to point out that it's using a march rhythm. And this is really great to set the mood of the game because you're going to be battling other trainers, you're going to be fighting Pokemon, and a lot of the game you're actually going from like point A to point B, like, you know, marching along on your journey, right? So having a march rhythm is really ideal. And the next thing I want to show you is some comparisons because I feel like this march rhythm that he's using is partly inspired, potentially partly inspired by some other existing music. So let's take a look at that. Okay, so I've pulled up here Star Wars' Imperial March, which was in turn inspired by the planets.
Good stuff.
Mars, the Bringer of War, which is the opening movement of this symphony. So I'm going to play those one after the other. And, you know, just take a look at the score. It doesn't really matter if you can't read music, but you can pretty much see like some similar groupings of like little black circles, right? The notes or the beats. So yeah, just to point out some of the similarities between them. So let me play them one after the other.
I'm just here because I'm cute.
Okay, so that's the one, and then
Oh, this one's good. This is so good. Oh, man.
it's a bit harder to hear.
Good choice though. I love this one.
Dun 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 dun. Yeah. Dun 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 dun.
They actually use this for like a Game Boy game by Sega. For like
Really?
a space game actually in the combat scene. I forgot the name of it though, but I was pretty blown away when I heard the song.
Yeah, this is a really epic piece. Highly recommended. Anyone who's a fan of John Williams will like this. So let's go back and listen to the Pokemon theme again now in this new context of having heard those two examples.
What did I sign up for? I'm not this nerdy. This is incredible.
This part, sorry guys. So yeah, I've circled here what's known as triplet figures. So something, yeah, that reoccurs between these three different pieces. And now I'm going to move on away from some of the rhythmic elements of this track to some of the harmonic elements.
It's got like super Mega Man feel, actually. A lot of the Mega Man 2 songs were, because they were like at 180 BPM or like 150 BPM. And like you are a robot marching on, you gotta fight these 8 robot monsters and whatnot. But they kept that march, but not so much for the percussion, but for the bass. Because they needed that it's literally this march, but turned up by like 3 times
Okay, yeah. March rhythms are very effective
for marching.
for marching. So let's move on. I've now pulled up a new screen here, and basically what I've circled are called perfect fifths. So what is a perfect fifth? Perfect fifth is a relationship between 2 notes, and they're separated by 5 notes. So it's actually pretty simple. This is in the key of G. So if I was playing G, a fifth above that would be D, and the beginning melody goes like. So there's a jump in the middle, but basically you're going from G to D. And then if you look at the green circles, it's the same thing. It's also like an F and a C. So a lot of fifths coming up in this opening title theme. And so fifths are also used in the Star Wars theme. Right? And it's also used in Top Gun.
Yeah.
So the fifth has historically been used to communicate something like heroic and like epic. So just pointing out that it's in this theme. So all of these things kind of come together to make this Pokemon theme like super, like get pumped up for the game. Now we're going to move on to something that we've actually talked about before.
Yeah.
Which is the famous Lavender Town
Yeah, I sang
theme.
this to you at like 2 a.m. in the morning. I don't.
Was it 2 a.m.?
Yeah, it was like an appropriate time to sing this song.
Yes. So, okay, for those of you who don't know, the Lavender Town theme comes up in one section of the game where you go to a haunted town, and there's like a Pokemon graveyard, and the music is pretty like eerie and uncomfortable. So I'm gonna play it now, and then after that, I'm gonna ask you a question about it.
Okay. It's really creepy, so trigger alert if you are.
Yeah,
worried
trigger
about-
alert, trigger
If
alert.
you're worried.
Yeah, so this track has gained kind of notoriety online through some kind of like creepypasta stuff. Can you elaborate on that?
It's just an urban legend where they say kids listening to this would kill themselves after. I mean, it's just, I kind of almost would believe it if there was no factual evidence to back up the fact that it didn't happen. I mean, because you're playing video games and you're listening to this music, and who knows, kid could be terrible at video games, is stuck at this stage, has been listening to this ad nauseum, and it's been like 2 hours, 3 hours, and they only listen at night in their bed, like, So when you're listening to this on loop, it's pretty gnarly. I mean, please explain why musically. Like, go ahead.
I'm about to explain how the composer has managed to achieve this effect. And to do that, we'll need to pull up the screen once again. And we have a score here. Okay.
Thank you.
So this is a score. Found it online. So love that people have put this to notation, so I didn't have to do it myself. And I'm going to go ahead one more picture. Okay, so don't panic. I'm going to explain what all of this means. So going back, you'll see in the first 4 bars, which is like, you see this kind of repeating pattern, which is... Yeah, so this can also be referred to as an ostinato. It's something that just keeps playing throughout the entire piece. And he's been very clever in how he's written this ostinato, because there's a couple things embedded in here which already make the music very uncomfortable to listen to. The first, and now this is what I've circled in pink, is a seventh interval relationship, which basically sounds like this. And it's one of the least pleasant sounding intervals that we have. And so when you start with a kind of like, with notes going upwards, sometimes you'd expect something like this, or, which sounds pleasant, but instead what he's gone and done is this. So immediately creating that seventh relationship doesn't really sound very comfortable. And then after that, he goes down. And returning to the beginning of that sequence, you end up with a tritone, which I've circled in purple. And a tritone is an interval of an augmented fourth. And it's basically been quite well known in music history, Western music history, because it was actually banned by the Christian church for being an evil interval. They believed it to be evil, so it was banned. And it's actually used a lot in like metal and kind of like goth music because it has those connotations. Yeah. So he's also thrown that in there as well.
Can I ask you a question? Why did they consider it evil? Was it just because the way the notes led didn't go anywhere in particular? You know, like with the perfect fit, you know, it's like a really sweet relationship. But
it has to do with the kind of like ratios connecting the two notes are very complex. So it's quite like far away harmonically. So that is why. Okay. Whereas something like this sounds very harmonious, and then something like this doesn't. So that's why. Okay. And then moving on, let me actually just play it again, just so you can enjoy and savor that horrible sound.
Yeah, geez. Can you imagine writing this?
Well, he wrote it. I think he wrote it very deliberately. You know, so.
You can see his face while writing it, like hunched over the keyboard. Like,
he's probably laughing, like cackling away, evil laughter. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to talk about is the notes that are surrounded by blue boxes, and where I've written seconds. So using this ostinato, this part, he's written in the other parts, the other channels, to kind of clash with that. So if we look at the first set of boxes, what you end up with is this.
This is torture, guys.
Yep, and then the next set of three is going to sound like this. And then the last is going to sound like, once again, like that. So throughout the piece, that's what he's doing, and it just creates a very like uneasy feeling throughout. And the final thing I want to mention is the green arrows. So we can see that the melody line as well as the bass line is moving in a downwards direction. So it is a bit general, but we tend to have like downwards moving melodies when we're trying to indicate maybe something sad or maybe something more negative, whereas something going upwards is generally considered or heard as something more positive, which kind of makes sense, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Would you even say like when you're going on a downward chord progression or just actually going down the tones or down descending movement at least is almost even ethereal? Because like I'm thinking about like other songs in RPGs, Ancient Forest by Chrono Trigger, Ghost Forest in Final Fantasy VI, like they're always descending. And it's almost as if it's like that quality is it's not descending as in it's like going from like up like one interval, like a 7 interval switch or nothing like that. It's just like a very gradual one, like that makes this feeling almost unsettling but almost mystical too. Like,
yeah, I think mystical perhaps maybe even can be a metaphor for like descending into hell or something like that.
nice.
Bit extreme.
Nice.
So all these things are happening, yet when you listen to it, it actually sounds pretty bare, doesn't it? So he's actually created the texture in quite a sparse, like bare way. So you're just left with these horrible well, it sounds like the wrong word to use, but horrible clashing harmonies ringing out. So one more time, we'll listen to that, and then we can move on. Don't worry, you guys.
The drum beat is pretty cool on this too, huh? When does it come in? It's like every one and...
Yeah, I will go like this when it comes in. Yeah, because in some of the other tracks he's using syncopation to add some like dynamic feeling to the piece, but this one is all on the beat. That's why it feels so empty and bare.
It sounds like cadaver music.
Yeah. Okay. Can we pull down the screen? All right.
I won't speak out of turn no more, sorry.
The next track from Pokemon we're going to look at is the battle music. Woo! And there's two types of battle music, but today we're going to look at the battle music versus wild Pokemon. Okay, so let's just check it out. A quote from the composer, Junichi Masuda. He says, "In Pokemon, it's not a battle between trainers, it's a battle between Pokemon. I think that's something that differentiates Pokemon from a lot of other RPGs, and I make sure that it's reflected in the music. For example, in a battle with a wild Pokemon, the player may end up catching and befriending the Pokemon they're up against. So it's important not to make the music create an atmosphere that sounds too scary or dangerous. It's a fine balance to strike, and we have to be very careful." So I think he does nail it, because it's not too scary, right? And actually, it reminded me of another piece called Flight of the Bumblebee. So I think he's kind of like referencing that. It's a very playful piece written by Rimsky-Korsakov, and I have a piano arrangement of that I'm going to play. Arranged, by the way, by Rachmaninoff, which is kind of interesting.
It's like
so, yeah, it's obviously not copying it directly, but it's kind of referencing it. So let's take a listen and see if you agree with me.
You're going to play Flight of the Bumblebee right now?
Yeah.
Whoa.
No, I'm not going to play it.
I was like, this is the content you came for, guys.
This is like a really hard piano piece. I'd be like,
Yeah.
I can pretend. Let me just, yeah, I'm going to play it, you guys. No, this is really hard. So, can you hear what I mean by that?
Yeah, I actually wanted to comment earlier after you did the quote, and he was saying that it's like not scary. And after reading that quote and putting it into context, I think he's totally wrong. Like,
really?
Yeah, like if I was like a random Pokemon, like just walking on the grass, and some kid came out, he's like super hyped up on like sugar. And like, you know, he's like,
candy.
And he sicks his dog at me, or his like mouse, his electric freaking mouse.
Yeah.
Like I'd be like, yo, like that's really freaky. Like if you listen to it, because that part when in the middle, it's like, right, and then it starts off nice because the animal's like, oh, geez, what's going on, right? Dun, 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 right? Play it again,
Yeah.
and then like, and then once it gets to kind of that climactic part, like after you've like chosen your move, it gets really nuts. So right now it's like, yo, what's going on? I'm just out in the forest trying to get some nuts, man. Like, who is
A
this
wild
kid?
pygmy has a beard.
Yeah, like what's well, on the animal's point of view.
From the animal. Yeah.
So like you're some kid, right? And now I'm just like, yo, why is he attacking me? Stop it.
So you find this more scary?
Yeah, I find it like quite like almost it's assaulting. It's very assaulting. It's very
agree to disagree. Okay.
I'm here for the debates, yo.
So the Pokemon section is over, you guys. No. But now it's a little bit less analysis now. We're just gonna revisit some sick late 90s, early 2000s titles. And the reason I chose these few is because they're tapping in on something like a kind of zeitgeist of that moment where a lot of movies like The Matrix, for example, and games were tapping into UK genres, which I love, by the way. So I'm going to show you something that's really sick. It's the title theme from Mario 64. And let me just play it in case you guys don't remember. Like, it's just so trippy to hear this.
Yeah, this is good. This is where you play with his face and then, like...
It's like drum and bass. What the hell? It's so cool.
Kind of a sound.
Yeah.
'Cause in the
Drum and
back-
bass,
yeah,
Mario 64.
This is dope. No, it actually, it really fits the backdrop because you're just manipulating Mario's face and playing with it. You're not doing much. Why do you think they chose this?
I guess the guy who's doing the music was like into drum and bass at the time. Was just like, I'm gonna throw it in.
Because I want to think like, you know, on a composer point of view, right? When you're doing all these games and you have all this music that's indicative of the journey that the player character is going to take. And like, Mario 64 is probably one of the best games of all time. And when that first came out, you know, it's all the first real proper 3D type game, right?
Yeah.
And like, the platforming was on point, the camera movement was on point. So like, it's really what's like such the future in that it's affected so many games. It's almost like a conscious decision. If that time, drum and bass was perhaps like cutting edge. Right?
Yeah, I think like a lot of big beat, for example, it comes up a lot in these games that I'm about to show you. I think, yeah, at the time that was like the coolest thing, right? It still is, by the way. So as video game culture, they also want to be at the forefront of that, right? They're innovating technology and whatnot. So totally agree. So can we pull up the screen now? I'm going to show you something from one of my favorite games that I've also done a more in-depth analysis on my YouTube channel. Go
Knack
and check
2.
it out. This is Tekken 3. Okay, is it up? Sweet, thank you. All right.
You love this game.
I love this game. Okay. Eddie Gordo. Just fast forward.
Is this your gameplay?
Nah, I ripped this from YouTube.
Well, yeah, you can totally hear the Matrix.
Right?
Yeah.
So sick. Forest Law, representing Hong Kong. Woo! Okay, Jin, this is a good theme.
Round one. Fight.
Okay.
I was always a Street Fighter outfit.
Now I'm going to show you something from a game called Rapid Racer.
I've never played this. I've never seen this game.
Rapid Racer was so much fun.
Yeah?
Okay. Let's skip a little bit ahead, you guys. All right.
Whoa.
Okay.
Oh, that's sick.
So good, right?
Yeah.
So the soundtrack for this was created by Apollo 440, a British group. And I'm going to show you one of my favorite tracks from this, which is Golden Sands, Miami. Okay. So let me turn this down and turn up the track. So this track is some drum and bass, some surf rock vibes, some salsa vibes. It's just like so cool.
Yo, this is so your style, actually. This is super hard. Like, this influenced you a lot.
Yeah, for sure,
Yeah.
for sure. I was thinking about it today. I was like, I think it's because of gaming that I'm so into these genres now. Like, I was 9 when I was playing this.
Yeah.
Like, for hours and hours and hours.
I'm like that with hip hop though. That's the thing. There's no real hip hop in the game, but the bass nature of it. Like
Okay. Next, moving on to
So good.
again a sick game. This is
Oh.
Half-Life
Oh man.
2.
Half-Life 3 confirmed.
What? Where did I put it though? Okay. Yeah, this game was so good. Amazing story. For those that don't know, this was based, like, not even loosely, like, pretty heavily based on 1984 by George Orwell, and scares the shit out of you. Oh my god.
Like this background.
No.
I never remembered there was music in this game. I was like
Yeah, so-
busy doing exactly what this guy's doing on the screen.
So you're hearing like a major thread all between all these games, right? Like, it's so sick. Yeah, this is not. I mean, I'm just mashing the music and the video together.
Oh, okay.
I'm not exactly sure where it came on. But yeah,
I'm
it's
so curious because I remember Half-Life being like the majority of it being quite quiet, and not having music is like actually a really powerful statement in video game production.
Okay. Can we pull the screen down? Cool. I thought I brought a video of GoldenEye, but I didn't. Oops. But never mind. We'll move on to Metal Gear: The Twin Snakes, released in 2004, and there's a pretty nice
one's for you, Jonic.
track, Psycho Mantis theme.
Psycho Mantis.
Yes. All right.
If you guys never played this game for the PS1,
There we go. Yeah, it's about to drop, you guys.
oh yeah,
So good, right?
yeah. I need to go back and listen to it. Huh. If you don't know the context of this, you're fighting this guy who's like this like psyop soldier in the PS1 game. It's pretty crazy. Like they did this thing that was breaking the fourth wall. Like they would tell you to put the control on the ground, and then DualShock, it just started back for the PS1, and they would actually move the gyros to manipulate the control to move left or right. And the guy, Psycho Mantis, on the screen would be like, you know, like I'm going to do this to you, whatever he says. And he'll read into your memory card.
Yep,
If you had any other
yep.
Konami games, like you know, he
Great
would be
character.
like super
Terrifying.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
this GameCube version is it's pretty definitive. It's very, yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna lower the volume a bit. This is I've left a section. We're still good for time. Don't forget the quiz is coming up, you guys. But we've got the section now where basically invite you to talk about whatever you want to talk about
Oh,
or
sweet.
play whatever you need to play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't invite me to talk about whatever I want to talk about.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, but so I just pop it in there.
Yeah, let's do it.
You'd have to help me.
Okay.
I've never used one of these things before. That is actually a confession.
Whatever you want to load.
Oh, okay. All right. So. Let's go.
Okay.
Yeah. So, alright. So this is not even. This is actually a sound effect, and I wanted to bring attention to this. Now, people who play this game, they know it immediately as Dark Souls. It's the bonfire sound, right? Dark Souls is reported to be, or at least marketed as, one of the most difficult games in all of our generation. Even the predecessor Demon Souls is harder, but Dark Souls, the whole Soul series from Software, Namco Bandai, it's my favorite game, right? So I love it because of the challenge. Now, there's no, I was mentioning earlier, like how in Half-Life 2, I don't remember the music, and I thought that created more of a sense of tension for a lot of the kind of set pieces that you have to go through. So in Dark Souls, like the way they've set up the game is that you are really lost. They don't tell you how to play. They don't really give you hints, like, and you die and die and die again. Like the whole marketing like tag was prepare to die, right? And and so this sound that you hear right now is like one of complete solace. This is something that you are dying to hear, because how the game progresses is that there's no music. When you hear this, this is where the actual save point is, and it's a bonfire. So when you get to this bonfire, you can save all your progress.
Yeah.
If you don't find it and you die, then you go back to the last bonfire. Right?
How long would it be like between bonfires?
So you don't know. That's the thing. On
Okay.
your first game, like your first playthrough, and because you don't have any real indication of where it is, when you finally hear this sound, it's just like, oh man, like I'm safe, momentarily safe. It works well with the mechanic because like by creating that tension of no music throughout all the game, most of it, there's no music unless something happens, and when like things go down.
What do you need to do?
I just want to yeah, so this is this one. This is also from Dark Souls. It's called Firelink Shrine, and when you get past the first brutal tutorial section, you end up here, and this is kind of the central hub. It doesn't really look like a hub, but this is a theme you hear for the majority of the game, because you keep on dying in the beginning, not knowing what to do, and you'll come back here, right? It's very central to the story.
Yeah.
And but if you take a listen to this, like it's very interesting because they made it so that it's just like a place of rest, like this on top of the fire sound that you just heard right now. It's just like, okay, I'm just gonna sit here for a bit because I've just like gone through hell and back. I've lost all my money, my souls. Now I'm gonna cry. I hate this game, and they give you this comforting kind of like.
It's comforting, but I mean, it still has like a melancholy
Yeah.
vibe to it.
Yeah, because in the game it's like, you know, like you are chosen on this horrible hero's journey that's going to be brutal, but it's not going to be easy. So the game acknowledges this. Like Motoi Sakuraba, he wrote this. It's a very genius soundtrack. It's super gothic and whatnot, but they know that this is going. See that bell that just came up right now?
Yeah.
Like that's almost like, you know, like okay. Like usually when I hear it, I'm like, okay, time to get up. Let's do this. Let's do this. Because
A call to arms.
yeah, it is a call to arms, but it's just in the way that it helps on the narrative, because the narrative is about being cursed and being set with this. I keep on saying hero's journey because that's exactly what it is. The sense of defeating things, and you get achievements and finding bonfires and knowledge and the light and dark and whatnot. So, but when there is actual music in the game,
Yeah.
so like it becomes like stuff like this. So yeah, so this is the Taurus demon. This is the first song you hear, which is like the boss, your first boss, and like immediately, you know, like compared to what's been played before, right? You know, now it's like Jesus Christ, what's going on, right?
Yeah.
And they've really like I'll just can I turn it out?
Sure.
And
Very like discordant on the string section.
yeah,
Like classic horror movie trope, you guys.
Yep. And they really want to just like mess you up that way, and I mean it's really cool because then it gives real impact to the music when it does show up. A similar game, free on PSN right now, Bloodborne, by the same company, also really good. The first boss you face is like it just comes out like out of nowhere because again there is no music, and I really appreciate this type of like I want to talk about this because I feel that appreciating the music in the video games, it's not just like, you know, putting on headphones and listening to a song. It's all about the context. It's all about why they've done that, I think. Right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh, that's scary. Yeah, it's a storytelling tool
Yeah,
in
absolutely.
film, but especially more so maybe in games because it can signal certain things are coming. Like for anyone who plays like Left 4 Dead 2,
yeah.
like you know the zombie's coming before you see it because of the sound, right?
yeah,
So
The bell sound. It's really good. Yeah.
let me just double check.
But I mean,
Okay.
but with this, like, you know, it's just From Software is so good at composing things. Like, when you know music happens, you're gonna die. That's it. It's like that's pretty much.
Yeah. I know exactly
Right.
what you mean. The stress.
Yeah. And, I mean, speaking of like sound effects, like something not stressful, is this one. Alright. You know where this is from?
No.
Okay, so Monster Hunter, it's been around for I think like 12 or 13 years. Most recent Monster Hunter just came out, Monster Hunter World for the PS4, really, or Xbox actually, all platforms, PC soon. Really, really good game, but that's the barbecue cooking theme.
Okay.
So it's weird because in this game you are just, you're just out hunting monsters and getting gear. It's almost like a more aggressive Pokemon. It's quite fun. But with this one in particular, you actually have to like get raw meat as an item and sit down and cook it, right? This song has gone through like, I think 12 iterations.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That reminds me from Final Fantasy, the
Yeah.
Chocobo theme also from game to game changes. That's
yeah.
this one?
Yeah.
Um,
Dun 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 dun. Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
that
no.
one, yeah. And each one is different. It's like a jazzy version and then like a rock version. And, that's really fun, I think, for the composers to revisit that.
Yeah. You know, it's cool that you mentioned Final Fantasy because if you listen to the victory theme, which also happens in every single one, right? Like, there's the fanfare, like, right? And then afterwards, there's like a and they've pretty much done this same arrangement for most of the games until they got to 7. And then 7 is when they did the whole like kind of drum and bass like matrixy movement where Uematsu was like just going completely on a different level. 7's a really good soundtrack. His favorite one is 9. Oh, sorry. And speaking of Uematsu,
I
I
have
his
an
first
artifact here with us
mixtape.
today.
Yeah, this is Final Fantasy for the NES, and this is actually his signature for all you nerds out there. This is Boy. This is my treasure. So yeah.
That's sick.
Yeah.
On that note, we're going to move along to the quiz section.
Alright.
Okay, so...
If that's the case, I just have
Oh, one more thing?
Yeah. No, I was I wanted to mention this really quickly.
Okay.
Yeah, and this is like, I feel that hip-hop music and video game music is very, very similar in the way that it's able to create loops and memorable sounds within a small space of time that you can listen to over and over again. And it's not about creating a melody so much as to create an atmosphere.
Yeah.
Like Dr. Dre is amazing at this. Like he's super incredible at this, and that expression of that. And with games like Mario and things that you hear over and over again, that if I hum you the Tetris theme, the Mario theme, the Contra theme, like all those things, you will know right away, and you know what you have to face. So I think that's interesting. But I know you have to go to the quiz.
I see what you've chosen there, and it's actually on the quiz. So you're going to get everything on the quiz, right? So for those of you watching, you can do the quiz in your head as well. So I'm going to start. Let's see. Okay.
So I'm not
This
allowed
is like
to look,
too
yeah?
easy. So this round 1, hold up. Okay, I've tried to prepare this, you guys.
Round.
Whoa, what is happening? Oh, sorry, it was on auto beat loop. I've changed it to hot cue now.
I feel like we should have Guile's theme from Street Fighter.
Round 1.
Okay. That was it, round 1. Okay, so you're not looking? Perfect.
Oh, this is Final Fantasy 7.
That's
theme.
correct.
Some like funky
Final
remix.
Fantasy 7 dubstep remix by London producer Silky.
And this is a Final Fantasy 7 version. Yeah. Your name is Tifa. It's nice
Okay.
to meet you. Oh,
Perfect.
thanks.
So that means you got it right. Okay, next one.
All right.
This is... I can't tell you, obviously.
No.
Okay.
Your name is Tifa. It's nice to meet you. Are these like all remixes? Like,
Yeah.
throwing me off, huh? I guess I would wait for a melody of some sort.
Yeah. Just wait for it. So this was apparently a really big drum and bass tune. This is a remix of.
It's like Kung Fu.
You lose.
I don't know. What is it?
Okay, so this
What
is
is
a
it?
remix of R-Type, with like a scrolling shooter game.
Oh,
Yeah. So
Jeez.
I'm gonna play you just quickly.
that's
the-
interesting though.
Okay, here's the original. The sample is pretty, it's kind of obscure, but I managed to find it. So here's the original. I'm playing this from my Ableton. Is that on? Can you hear that? Oh. There we go. Okay, so I isolated what I believe is a sample. Let's check it out.
You know I don't know that. It's so hard. I never got past like the first like 5 seconds.
So I cut it out and I pitched it up, and that's what you get. So now I'm going to play the sample with the actual drum and bass track. So here we go.
That's tricky, man.
Yeah.
That was super tricky.
So it's not super obvious, but with a little tweaking,
What a
little
stumper.
Ableton living, you can figure it out. Okay, so
Alright.
let's move on to
So,
round 2.
I have a KD of 1-to-1 right now. 50% ratio.
Okay.
Round 2.
Sorry, I just
okay.
want to do that.
I know you
Okay.
prepared these, so you should.
So
you
round
should.
2 is sing the tune.
Oh, so I don't need this.
No, you don't. You don't
Okay.
need that for this one. So the first tune I want you to sing is the Pokemon Center tune.
Oh man. It's like da-na-na. No wait, is it? No, that's like a town. Da-da-da-da. No, wait. Da-da-da-da-da. That's the overworld.
Pokemon Center. That's where you go to charge up your Pokeballs and get back to health.
No, I don't know. I
Is-
don't remember.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah, I suck.
You lose.
What is it? Oh. Oh man.
And there's a bonus add-on question since you didn't get it. What about Pallet Town, which is the starting town?
Oh, I was just singing it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So?
I'm not very confident though. I don't
Let's
remember.
test it out.
Cause it's not. Yeah.
I don't know, you guys. Did he get that?
I got it. I got it. I just
Okay,
sucked.
okay.
Perfect.
Not really perfect, but that's the only clip I've got saved. Okay, next is the theme from Dragon Quest, also referred to sometimes as Dragon Warrior.
Oh, that's easy. Which one? Like from the start, from the get-go? Like dun 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 dun.
After that.
So that's the start screen. You mean like the world theme?
The theme, like the opening
Like,
title theme.
do, 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 do,
I don't know, you guys.
Wait, no.
You have 5 seconds.
The world theme of Dragon Warrior 1, when you start the game, it goes dun 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 dun.
Okay, let's see.
Oh.
You lose.
Ooh.
But I'm disappointing you, right?
Okay, that's all right.
No, I need a drink of this Mega Man. Are you
Okay.
a musician? Do you not get enough sleep? Well, you should definitely drink Mega Man Mega Tank. Sorry.
I don't know if that can help you. The next, this is the last part of Sing the Tune. Crash Bandicoot.
No, I didn't play that.
What?
Yeah, he's too wacky for me.
Okay, you guys.
Yeah.
For those of you at home,
You sing it.
imagine it in your head.
You sing it.
Oh my God, there's so much pressure.
Yeah, you sing it. See? Now you
Um,
know how it feels and how it seems. Here, I'll give you a weapon. You can spin this.
Oh, I have so much music floating around my head. Wait.
Which ones you lose?
You lose.
Ugh. No, okay.
I don't know this. I actually didn't play this.
I played the hell out of this. Recently remastered and re-released for PS4, you guys.
Yeah. Alright.
section, round 3.
Okay. I feel like I'm pretty proud
Round 3.
of my singing for
Round
game
3
music.
is guess the tune.
I'm kind of butthurt right now.
These are pretty easy, so I expect you to get all of them.
All right. I'm probably not.
Okay, close your eyes. Close
I'm
your eyes.
like go home and like cry to Firelink Shrine music. Oh, Donkey Kong Country opening title.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Frankie Kong.
Let's enjoy it for a second.
Yeah, this is good. When the drums drop. This is so good. This is so good. And it- Yo, Rare changed the 16-bit like music genre with this, yeah? Like the instruments they're using, the synths, it's so different from everything else at the time.
Pretty good, yeah.
Yeah, like I don't know what they did. Like I forgot what synths they used, but I just definitely know like, compared to everything else, it does not sound like this. Layers of sampling, array, like
Okay.
oh, that's such a good game.
Next
Okay.
is don't look. This is also super easy. Shout out to Jarius if you're watching.
Oh man, it's like Kokori Woods, Forest Theme, Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time.
Perfect.
Yeah, this is sick though.
Yeah, let's leave that.
You.
Yeah, this is such a good song.
Okay.
I actually ride my bike and you're long to
This
that.
is the last from Guess the Tune.
BB, like Bad Bad Not Good did a great remix of that, by
Done
the
it,
way.
done it,
Like-
done it.
oh, sorry.
This is so easy.
Alright. Tetris. Sick.
Perfect.
Okay. So, I thought for the last section, I'm going to try and pull up the feed here. The last section is a freestyle rap from you.
Oh, what?
Because you know how to do that.
Yeah, I do.
Let me quit.
Oh,
Ableton.
wow, I didn't know about this.
Let me pull up the Facebook live feed, you guys. I hope people are watching because I want you to send in some suggestions. Okay, I've got 11 people watching. Let's see.
Yo, what's up, Matthew? What's up, Steve?
Can someone, okay, we want,
What's up, Heidi?
let's keep it simple. Let's take it to 3 gaming vocabulary, nerdy terms. Whoever is first will be in the freestyle rap.
Alright.
Okay. Are people commenting?
No.
No.
I was rapping earlier when you put up the Final Fantasy thing. 'Cause,
I
like,
thought this might happen because maybe there's a delay. Well, if anything comes up, we'll add it. But
Alright.
I want you to do one.
Ooh. Ooh. Knack 2, yo, Donkey is the best YouTuber of all time. That's an amazing game.
Knack 2.
Uh-huh.
Joystick. Okay, joystick. We've got the first suggestion, you guys.
Okay.
I feel like that has a lot of potential there. Joystick. Come on, people. We need 2 more. We've got.
Knack 2 ain't one?
It's not.
It's a game.
Yeah, but we want like. Okay, fine. All right.
You don't know, it's like the best game ever. I'm
Um,
waiting for Knack 3, baby!
Okay, we've got Knack 2, we've got joystick. We need 1 more, you guys. 1 more gaming name, term, whatever, some jargon. Okay. We'll wait. And we'll load up some music while we wait.
Can I pick one?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah? Nice.
Okay, guys. I'm not seeing a third one, so I'm going to add my own. How about pick something you can rap over?
Yeah, anything.
Yeah.
Well, I don't have any rappable beats here, but.
Well, you're going to have to make it rappable.
Alright.
The last one I want you to use is
Knack 2, joystick.
noob.
Huh?
Noob.
Noob.
Yeah.
Oh man, you're
Yeah.
like a really aggressive gamer. Calling people noobs.
Oh my God, you noob! Ah! Okay.
Yo, this for the record, this track works on everything. Like we could be doing rock paper scissors. We could be like ordering at a Tatan Tang. Yeah. So okay, simple game, freestyle, 3 words.
Oh wait, we have a suggestion. Game over. Let's do
Okay.
that. Let's do that.
All right. You get that Final Fantasy, that dubstep you made.
Sure.
That was sick. I was feeling that. Game over.
Yes. Freestyle rap section with gaming terms.
I'll throw in a bunch of bonus ones too. Just because
Okay,
I'm
throw
like
'em
that. Yeah. Yo, don't send cash or don't send news unless you be a noob. I be going above you when I'm not, just play it too. Oh, that should be rather and smooth, like when I blow off the CD and put it in my PS2. Wow. It's never game over, moreover, that's the second word I put it in so easily. You see it's FF17 when I am 32, I'll play it cause I got that super nerdy flow. Yes, you know I made it when I'm watching Donkey on the tube. I'll be playing and wishing for that game that's called Knack 2. It's the best game, you see it at E3. But thank you very much for inviting me to Musicoology.
Woo! Sick!
Nice.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure, my
Guys,
pleasure.
thank you for watching. This has been Musicoology with Gold Mountain. If you didn't catch the whole episode, just wait a few minutes. It's gonna be uploaded to facebook.com/HKCR live.
Yeah.
And that's it for today. Let's just enjoy the rest
yeah.
of this tune.
Yo. Hey, Tifa, I heard it's nice to meet ya. I like your double D's, cause you're Yoji Hori. I be playing you like joysticks, cause I got my Hori. I be playing like I'm proud, cause I'm like about that Shinra. I'm here about that drink. I got that potion in my pocket, I don't need to think. I got that energy, I got that Fallout 3. And if you find that lucky pit boy, then your luck will go up by 3. 3 points and slime is just on my side. I got the OG Final Fantasy signed by Nobu and Matsu. And it feels so good. Luigi just taking it on. I'm just out of Steam codes. I'm like that Shop. I make you buy something on your mama CC. That credit card, we be owning it, taking on the time. Thank you once again for watching Musicoology. New to me, don't send nudes, please send cash. Yeah. I'd like to thank the slime family we have over there, and this Mega Man helmet, very cool. And yeah, thank you, Lee. Hope you guys learned something. Peace outside. Oh.